Hello, readers, and thank you for joining me for another phonics lesson. We're going to continue our look at the long U sound. Today, we are moving to multisyllabic words. For lessons 1 and 2 in this series, we looked at just monosyllabic words, or just one syllable, and now we're looking at multisyllabic words that have more than one syllable. Primarily those with a VCE pattern at the end, like the word costume ends with a VCE. So as we get started, I'm going to do a quick phonics review, and then we're going to get into how we can decode and read words that have more than one syllable that end with that long U sound. So let's do a review first. Say these with me. Full, n, bur, st, fur, per, th, s, r, a, o, e, o. Very good. Now, as we get into this, what I want to do is first kind of talk you through one, and I'm actually going to diagram it out like we've done in the past with our multisyllabic words, just to give you a refresher, and then I'm not going to do it anymore. Because at this point in time, we should be able to look at a word, find those vowels, and figure out how to break it apart, because we know that every syllable has a what? Every syllable has a vowel. So we want to make sure we can find those. So when we look at a word for the first time, we can look at the end, and if we see that bossy E, or that magic E as some people call it, that VCE pattern, we know that that E is going to be silent, and that it's also that U is going to say its name. So we know that after we've done that, we can label the vowels. Once we've done that, we can figure out, oh, look, there's 3 consonants in between that. You may have heard it called the Panther rule, but it's VCCCV, and we know that usually it splits behind the first consonant. And of course, this is a blend, so we'd want to keep that together anyway. So if we were going to read it, we'd read exclude, and the word would be exclude. But what I want you to do is I don't want us to have to draw our bridge. We don't need to draw our line. We don't need to label our consonants. At this point in time, we should be able to look at it, find those vowels, and be able to figure it out. So for the rest of this video, I will label the vowels, but that's going to be it. I want us to get used to finding those parts of the word and figuring out how to break it apart. So let's try for our first one. So we have a new word here. We're going to look at the end. Do we see a bossy E? We indeed do. So then we're going to, once we do that, we're going to go ahead and label the vowels. We don't have to label this one because it's kind of in tune with that one. Those kind of go together. We see 2 consonants, and you know VCCV, we split it in between the consonants, so we would give it a try. Immune. What would our word be? Immune. That's right. Here's another word. Do we see that VCE at the end? We do. And of course, we want to find and locate the 2 vowels. What kind of pattern do we have? VCV. We know that most of the time, sometimes we would split after that vowel, and that would be volume, and that would not have sounded right, but let's try it this way. Volume. What would that word be? Volume. Very good. Here's another one. We find that bossy E, of course. What do? We look for the vowels. Another VCV. We know normally we split it right here behind the vowel and not behind the consonant, but if I did that, it'd be tribute. And that word does not sound like a word that I recognize, but what if I tried it this way? Tribute, because now that becomes a closed syllable. If I put that together, what would it be? Tribute. Ooh, let's try this one. This is my tricky word for the day. It's not really tricky, it's just a little bit more involved. We find that. Once we've identified there's that, what do we need to look for? All of our vowels. Now, if I see 3 vowels and none of them are together, how many syllables should I have? Probably around 3, because we know every syllable has a vowel. So I know I'm going to be looking at these. So I'm going to look. I'll start here in the beginning, and I see 3 consonants between 2 vowels. And I know usually it splits here because there's a blend again. And then I look over here and I see a VCV and know it usually splits there. So if I were to go ahead and break that up in my mind, I would have substitute. And our word would be substitute. Depending on where you live, you may say substitute, and I might make that more of a schwa sound, but that would be the word. All right, let's go over some word families that have that VCE pattern. Can you read these with me? Yoon, ute, yule, use, you'd, or ood, ook, oos, oob, All right, now we're going to try some silent blending. We're going to try to read some words, all multisyllabic, and we're going to put them together, but don't read the word until the whole thing is there. Remember, try to figure it out as you look at the word. You ready? Let's get started. Dispute. Include. Confuse. Introduce. Compute. Intrude. Conclude. Misuse. How did you do? I'm sure you did very well. Thank you for staying with me to the very end, and until next time, happy reading.